Okay, in order to apply for hidden agenda status points, you'll need to click on your name and then click on this here where it says Hidden Agenda Applications. Now, this is an assignment that everyone is required to do, even if you don't think you earned your status points, because it's important for me to know that you know where to get the information, and it's also important for me to know that you know what your goals are. This is a good way for you to review what your goals are to get these kind of status points next year. So we click on 2001 Hidden Agenda Application. Then scroll here where it says Submit Hidden Agenda Application. And then once again, they've got all this security. Click Year-End Hidden Agenda Application Form. You have to put in your password one more time. Show agenda. All right, now this student from last year was a liberal. So she needs to, first of all, prove the prerequisites. Prove, verify that a democratic election had occurred within the last 2 years. Explain. We held elections by Google Classroom. That's enough for A. Excuse me, I should have put A. A. All right, so there's the prerequisite there. Let's see here. B, prove, verify that the laws in Euratina have been made democratically. In other words, do people ultimately have power? Okay. We held a congressional session this year during winter. So did your House of Representatives and Senate meet? Were they elected to meet? If so, that's all you have to put there for B. C, prove, verify that justice has been democratically upheld in Euratina. Moral that privilege and power of the judiciary be traced to the people. Okay, if we're talking about our year, we didn't have, some countries didn't have a court case, but it's not because they didn't have the opportunity to have a court case. So if you had a court case, then you can mention that court case. If you didn't have a court case, you can mention the fact that your judge did, in fact, give the opportunity for someone to have a case heard, and that should be sufficient. Now, if you had someone who tried to get an important case heard and the judge refused to hear it, and you feel that was unjust, then that's something where maybe you haven't met that democratic prerequisite. We held a court case, or we were given fair opportunity for a court case. Okay, so there's your three. Now, democratic prerequisites. Now, if you're watching this and any of these did not take place, then that means you didn't hit your prerequisites, and the rest of these things aren't going to matter. Nevertheless, go ahead and try and put the information here in order to get the full credit for this assignment. This isn't about status points. This is about you getting credit for doing this assignment. So prove, verify that your government ensured no taxes were eliminated, or prove that your ensured that none of the court taxes were set at 0 or 0%. Okay, so tax prerequisite. Now, the way you find this information out is you go to your country, click on your country name. This is not your country, but you know where it's at. Hover over Law and Government, and then click on Assets and Finances. Okay. Now here, this shows with this country that the year started at 0% of tax and the year end at 33%. Here there was no raise. But here we see there was a raise in taxes, which means no taxes were eliminated. Your country is going to say something different. So you're going to have to click here, click on Assets and Finances, and determine what happened in terms of taxes. Different countries had different results there. And then once you do, you put the information here. Now, whether or not you got this prerequisite doesn't matter. You need to put the evidence of what happened. Here we can say income tax was not eliminated. It was raised to 33%. Now, that's not going to be true for your country, but for this country at this year, this was hit. Income tax wasn't eliminated, it was raised. Now, next, so this person gets to check. If yours wasn't, you need to put an X for no, didn't accomplish this. Put the information that shows that you didn't accomplish this. You click an X. Okay, now, prove, verify that 20% to 40% of the businesses and apartment hexes on your nation's map are publicly owned. Now, yours might not say something like this, but if it does say something like this, where you find this information, again, is you click on your country, hover over law and government, and click on assets and finances. Then you look down here. This will tell you how much the government owns, 33%. Now, if yours asks for how much is privately owned, you simply need to subtract this from 100%. So that would mean that 66% of all businesses are privately owned. So we go back here. Balanced public-private ownership. So somewhere, a liberal is not supposed to shoot for full government ownership, but somewhere a balance. And so they're saying here the balance is somewhere between 20 and 40%. That's what they have. So we say, yes, we got this. And here you can say 33%, because that's what the sheet says here, 33% of businesses are publicly owned. Okay, now even if you didn't get this, let's say you wanted 0% publicly owned, you still need to put the evidence. This is where the country is at. Of course, your country is something different. You'll have to look on your page and then put the X. No, we didn't accomplish this, but you still need to put the evidence. What is the evidence of what's going on in your country here? Then, objective 2, essential services. Prove that all security, healthcare, education hexes are owned and operated by the government. Okay, so we go back to that page and we look. Okay, education is owned by the government. Healthcare is owned by the government. What else did they say needed to be owned by the government? Healthcare, education, and security. Security is not. So here, only one of these has to be. Here we can say 2A, no. Security is not owned by the government. For 2B, let's see if they have 2B. Prove that every citizen received at least one security and education hex. Okay, where do we get that? Each citizen got security and education unit, Every citizen received at least one security, health, and education unit. Okay, at least one of these. Okay, how do we figure that out? Okay, so in order to prove that one, that's a tricky one. What you have to do is go in, click on your country name, click on, hover over national info, and then click on unit summary. We have to show that every citizen got at least one security, health, and education unit, meaning they have had at least one of each, every citizen, which is really hard to accomplish. That's why you can either do A or B. Let's check this one. If we click on education, here we can see plenty of people who did not get education units. If we look at, let's see here, safety, we have plenty of people who did not get safety units. Okay, so I think that one's pretty clear. Education, that didn't take place. And so here you would say, no, not all citizens had basic human services. Okay, then finally submit.